In one of my astronomy columns, I'm referring to looking at these objects in the sky, and the easiest one perhaps is the Milky Way, which in a pretty dark area you have to be in order to discern it, runs across the entire sky, here for example. And then over here, this is a two-dimensional map, so that's why it's somewhat curved across the sky. It's one line, which of course is kind of like a dome. You can see here the bright star of Sirius, and here the constellation of Orion, and then it goes across the sky. Cassiopeia is in here, Capella is in here, and Auriga, over to Cygnus, and the bright star Deneb, and then over here Vega. And it's a little bit brighter than Milky Way in that region because it's more dense. The Hercules Cluster can be spotted in, of course, the constellation of Hercules, which is made up of 4 stars, at least part of it. It looks kind of like a square. And then on one of the sides of the square, about 2/3 of the way from one star to the other, is the Hercules Cluster. You would need binoculars for this one to really see it. And as I zoom in here, it comes more and more in view. This is perhaps the best view you can get in binoculars. So it's this dense star cluster. It looks kind of like a blob. If you had a really good telescope, then this is what you could see, actually individual stars around it. Mizar and Alcor are really easy to find because they're in a constellation of Ursa Major, or in North America we call it the Big Dipper. Here's the Dipper itself, and here's the handle of the Big Dipper. It's one of those constellations virtually everybody can recognize. And Mizar and Alcor are at the bend of the handle right there. And even with the naked eye, you might be able to see, depends on the person, on the eyesight of the person, might be able to see 2 stars there, one brighter than the other. This is kind of like an eye test. If you had binoculars, you might be, not that one is bigger than the other, but you would be able to see that one is brighter than the other and detect the faint one next to the brighter one. The Beehive cluster is in the constellation of Cancer. Actually, there isn't many bright stars, so it's a little bit hard to find, but what you would do is you would see Leo on one side here with the mane of the lion and bright star Regulus, and to the other side you would find Gemini with its 2 bright stars, Castor and Pollux, and then kind of in between is the constellation of Cancer, so it's kind of darkish around there, and you use averted vision, which means you're not looking directly at it, and you should be able to see on a nice evening the Beehive cluster. It kind of stands out as this kind of blob of a cluster, and if you use binoculars you're going to see this kind of cluster here. Okay, this is actually kind of a telescope side almost, with these individual stars. Binocular, if I zoom out one or twice, then this is what you would be able to see. The Orion Nebula, of course, is in the constellation of Orion, one of those constellations that almost everybody recognizes. Well, for one, you have the brightest star Sirius here to the side, which is in the constellation of Canis Major, the big dog, and then you get to Orion the Hunter, and you have bright Betelgeuse and bright Rigel, and then another couple of bright stars, and here's the belt of Orion, and then here's the Orion Nebula a birthplace of stars in when you use binoculars, you might be able to see this kind of blob here. And if you used really powerful telescopes, okay, this one actually gets us to images that are rivaling the Hubble, then you would be able to see this one. But realistically, with binoculars, this kind of shape here